Hello and welcome to Game Day from the UK, another Miami Heat UK live streaming show here tonight to preview tonight's game against the San Antonio Spurs. We are here with our full stream team once again. John Jablonka, how are you, sir?
Yeah, not bad, thanks.
Great stuff. Sam, you're up the top tonight. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Hopefully the Heat's offense today will be at the top as well. So,
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. And Danny's looking up at everyone. How you doing, Danny, down there?
Yeah, it's all right down here, mate. A little bit cold, but it's all right.
I don't know what happened. I don't know why my order's out of sync tonight, but there we go. Guys, where do we start? Let's start with the Bulls game again, as we always do. Let's recap on the last time out. Well, it's just the same old stories, I suppose. Look, we'll get into it. But first of all, the main thing that I looked at when, obviously, I watched the game. I'm going to be not too overly critical, but one thing that screamed out with this team when I watched that game, Sam, is when Jimmy Butler is not playing, when Jimmy Butler is resting, we are not very good, are we? We are not very good. 33 points from Jimmy. Everything goes wrong when he sits. And I know there's some circumstances more often with this game because we were missing quite a lot of offensive punch. But the team is lost without Jimmy Butler.
yeah, and for me, that was quite surprising to see because we did have those like 10, 12 games that he was off with COVID. And although we lost some games, there was still semblance of some sort of functioning team. I might be wrong, but I feel like this is the first game we saw like extensive minutes without Jimmy and without Kelly as well. I felt like for the first time I was actually, Kelly's been balling on other teams, but like for the first time I felt like I was actually missing Kelly's impact in a game. But yeah, Jimmy on the court or not, Duncan Robinson on the court or not, we shouldn't be losing games like this, especially at this time of the season. So it's unforgivable to me.
Yeah, it's a disappointing one. Look, I'll have my say at the end because the Heat have had some real criticism after this loss. Some people saying the worst loss of the season and stuff. I'm not really having that. I'm gonna give them a little bit of leeway, but I will come on to that in a second. Let's get your thoughts first. John, we seem to struggle against big teams. They are quite a big team. Tice, Vucevic, Thaddeus Young, they led the rebounding there. Vooch with 11, Tice with 12, Young with 9. Jimmy Butler was our best rebounder with 8. Bam, 6, Dedmon 5, I think might have been 6. Again, it's been a bit of a problem all year, but I thought we might have addressed this now. Bielitsa, Dedmon in, but we really struggled off the boards. They really dominated off the boards.
Yeah, and that's going to be how the team's going to be like for the rest of the year. I saw tweets like how you expect Bam to grab rebounds if he's going to be switching on the guards on the perimeter, and then the little guys will be guarding Vucevic. So I don't think that's on the personnel. It's more scheming wise. That's why we just keep getting out rebounded. But yeah, unless Spo changes his plan, then that's going to be what it's like.
Yeah, it does seem to be the Achilles heel a lot, but you're right. I mean, as I said, if you're gonna have Bam on a perimeter, he's never been a big rebounder, and that's why, because he's expected to guard 1 through 5, and it has been a bit of trouble. But it seems like I look ahead and think, well, when we come up against, the real elite big teams, the Bulls aren't an elite team, and we struggled again. And there's another fundamental reason to why we lost this game. Another big reason, Danny, something that can't be helped. Duncan Robinson didn't look right from the start, only 3 points, and then obviously, I think halfway through the third, didn't come back, was feeling unwell. So we then didn't really change the game plan. We carried on jacking up threes. We couldn't get past it. It just shows that when Jimmy Butler isn't there, we haven't got anybody else really that can drive to the basket. Tyler Herro was missing. Kendrick Nunn was missing. These are players that fundamentally do that for us. Dragic hasn't really got that in his legs anymore. So we're left with throwing up threes. And when you take Robinson away, that's a real problem. And it showed in the scoreline. 7 from 36 from 3, 19%. I think that is. That's another, it was just a rough shooting night, wasn't it?
Yeah, the team kind of is basically just run off the Duncan Robin dribble handoff a lot of the time. And if you're not getting that going and your other shooters aren't making shots, this team isn't going anywhere. So, the fact that Duncan had a rough night and then obviously went off, it sucks. Jimmy and Bam can't carry this team alone. This team kind of is a function offense when everyone's getting some, and if everyone else is off besides Jimmy and Bam, then again the team isn't going anywhere. So we don't really have a lot of options. You take Duncan out, we don't have a lot of options. You take Jimmy out, we don't have a lot of options on offense either. So it's a very fine margin between playing well with our guys healthy, and then having them not on the floor, and this team just looking like complete trash. So it's not a great look.
Yeah,
I'll just add to that real quick. Duncan, Jimmy, and Bam played 750 minutes, and they have a 113 offensive rating. But with Duncan off, that goes to 99.
Wow,
that's insane. That is insane. Wow. So you think there's a conversation to be had as to what do you pay Duncan? Because at this point, it's just you pay him, right?
I think you've got to
show it.
Yeah. So you just roll with it and go, fuck it, let's just pay him, because at the moment we're not going to win anything without him. So.
Yeah, 100%. I think we said this about a week ago, that it's getting to the stage now where I think you've got to do it. This conversation, I don't even think is a conversation anymore. Mm. It may be that the conversation maybe has to be about what number you can command and what you can negotiate. But no, it's a no-brainer for me now that Duncan will have to be paid. Sam, you agree with that, surely?
At this point, yes, because I think the biggest argument is his sort of shooting from last season, but he's still an elite shooter. He's probably like top 3, top 4. And when you consider the extent in which he's shooting compared to the sort of dynamics he plays with, besides Jimmy and Bam, we don't really have anyone who's like attacking the basket and drawing sort of attention away. So like him getting open is off his action. So him like running off pin downs, running off what's it called? The dribble handoff, etc. So Duncan's value to this team is pretty much based on what he brings. I feel like players feed it off more from him than he feeds off from players. So at this point, we have to pay him, because I saw a tweet today that literally blew my mind, and I completely agreed with it. Just imagine Duncan Robinson's shooting percentage if he was on the Nets. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, well, that's what we're seeing with Joe Harris, is that he's so open now because of the obviously the attention that the other 3 command. So he's getting open, he's getting big points. John, great stat. Here's another one for you. The Heat somehow, with just 5 turnovers compared to Chicago's 18, still managed to lose this game by 8 points, I think it was. That's pretty incredible, isn't it? That's impressive. 5 turnovers and we still managed to lose.
Yeah, I really don't know how we went from the worst team turnovers-wise to, after the trade deadline, to one of the best, just not turning the ball over. But when I looked at the stats, when I first saw that we lost, I was like, how did we lose if we have that many turnovers compared to them? And that was just surprising.
This team is so weird. It's so weird. I mean, sorry, just one second. It's just, like, last season, we were like one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. And like, not a lot really changed, right? But now we're like one of the worst. We started the season as like an offensive, like an awful team turning the ball over. Like, I didn't even realize that, John, that stat about, after the break, we've been able to keep hold of the ball that much. This team is just weird, man. And there's something, I don't know, man. It's just weird.
Yeah, I think at this point, we have to like accept what this team is. I feel like there's a lot of delusion, and like, obviously last year plays into it. And personally, I'm as optimistic as anyone comes when it comes to with this team. But at this point, we have to just acknowledge that the inconsistency is a part of this team. I mean, on a good day, we're, in my opinion, the best team in the league. But on a bad day, Lord knows
when it all clicks, this team is fucking great.
This is
but
what
it doesn't click that often. Yeah,
this is what we've said. We can look so good. We can look like a team that is every ounce what took us to the finals last year. But you say we've got to accept what this team is. Well, at the moment, we're so inconsistent that all we can be told, all we can be described as, is a 0.500 team, which is what we are pretty much, because we can't find that consistency. And I know that this comes down to, a lot of it will come down to health, etc. But you take away the fundamentals of this team, and we don't look very good. We're not a great shooting team. We was last year. We're a good defensive team. We wasn't last year. Well, we was okay last year. We're we was a good offensive team. We're not this year. 1 minute we're terrible with turnovers. The next minute we're one of the best. It's just a bizarre outfit, and I do not know where we pitch it, which is why it's so difficult to try and understand where we go in terms of record, where in terms of seeding, in terms of who we match up well against, because we don't know, because we're just so indifferential every single night. Just to sum up on the Bulls game, I am going to give them a bit of leeway because, look, 100%, is this a game we should have won? Yes. Should we be beating the Bulls? Yes. Okay. They're not a bad team. They're not a terrible team. They've got some good players. They're missing their best player, which makes it even harder, which is the reason why we say this is another bad defeat. But this was never a game that we was running away with. The biggest lead was 9. Okay, so this wasn't like the time before when we was up by 20 and we almost blew it and we had to struggle and bring everyone back to get this over the line. This is, a team where we're missing Tyler Herro and Kendrick Nunn, who fundamentally give you a lot of what we need, which is some drive into the basket, some points, some offensive punch. Like I said, you take that away, we've got Jimmy Butler, and that is it. We've got a half-cooked score on Dragic. He can't be expected to do what he was doing on the bubble last year. Then we've got Duncan Robinson, who went down after 3 quarters, unwell. So I'm not having it that this is a conversation of this goes up there with the worst. Come on. We lost to the Pistons.
We've had worse losses. For me personally, that Warriors game still haunts me till today.
Yeah, absolutely. Go on, John.
Do you want to hear some really bad stats from Dragic?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Last season, he was shooting 66% in a restricted area. This season goes to 58. Went from 59 on layups to 55. In isolation, it went from 1.1 points per possession to 0.6.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just the fall off with him is quite incredible, and it's tough because when we are missing so many players, we have to rely on Goran. We can't. I mean, we just can't do it. And we're then people were moaning about Gabe Vincent and things like. Gabe had quite a good defensive game. I think he was a real pest, but he offered you 3 points in 30 minutes. What did you expect to happen?
That's a lot of minutes.
We've got nobody else.
That's all we had. But man, that's a lot of minutes for just 3 points.
Yeah, it's a lot of minutes. But we had to play a lot of Bielitsa. We had to play 34 minutes, I think, of Trevor Ariza, who's been brilliant and actually played well. Max Strus got big minutes. These are G League players, and yet people are moaning that we lost to a team that are still scraping. They haven't given up to get in this playing tournament because they want that, and they are only about a game away from it now. So they're still fighting. Look, it was a bad loss. Let's have it. It was a bad loss. They were missing Zach LaVine, who's obviously is their best player. But I'm not having it. We've had far too many worse losses than that. So I am going to cut them a bit of slack. We have got to remember that they are players that are playing in a ridiculous schedule at the moment.
Plus the back to back. It wasn't a strictly back to back, but it's a back to back team
where you can work out.
Yeah, that's got to have some impact on definitely. Things. So give them a break.
Just piggybacking on that. I'm not sure if it was this game or the last game, but Trevor Ariza had a statement where he was like, basically said something along the lines of how our offense is getting a bit predictable because we keep running the same sort of sets. And when you have a back-to-back, playing the same team 2 consecutive games, things like that, it does show. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It was almost, he got a little bit of heat for that because it was like he was digging out Spo, but he's got a point. But I don't really see what else.
Absolutely.
My main criticism of what I was reading on Twitter is everyone was going off and I was saying about, what Gabe Vincent playing half an hour and so on. What did we have? We had nothing else. So we can't.
We had Haslam.
Wow. Yeah. Indeed. Right. Anyway, guys, let's get on to tonight's game against the San Antonio Spurs. The usual format. Let's go through it. 31 and 29 are the Spurs for 9th in the West. Heat now are 32 and 30, which is 7th in the East. The Spurs are 18 and 10 away. The Heat are 18 and 14 at home. They're on a good run. 7 and 3. We're on 5 and 5. The Heat are fancied with the bookies by -5 on a spread. After we blew them out by 20 points in the last game, they have won their last 3 against the Pistons, the Pelicans, and the Wizards. The red-hot Wizards they scraped through in overtime. So, John, they're looking a lot better. They have got a lot to fight for. They're trying to get into the playoffs as well, a bit like us. They don't want any of this play-in situation, which is what they're currently involved at the moment. This is going to be a tough game. Now, DeRozan, after missing the Pistons game, which was directly after us, went for 32 and then 37. This is after the Heat held him to 15. So that's that's impressive that Heat can hold such an offensive player to that. We're going to need to do the same again, you'd think.
They very well could, but we also almost blew out the Bulls, and then they beat us. So I'm not expecting the same results as last time.
Nah.
They could blow them out again and keep the Rosen in the tens. But yeah, the way we're so inconsistent, this game he could drop 30 on us this time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
one thing. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Danny, go on. Sorry.
Just one thing I remember about the Spurs game was when we started to play a bit more of the zone is when it kind of threw them off. And I've got a feeling that because that game was so recent that if we try and pull that off again, it's not going to particularly work very well, especially because, you got Pop coaching and, it's not going to go as smoothly, I think, as it did last game. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts anyway.
No, Danny, you've in my notes, zone. So
right.
Zone worked well in the second half when we played them. That's literally what I put because it was a tight game and then we switched to the zone and it threw them off and that was it. So, no, it's a very good point to pick up. Sam, piggybacking off what Danny just said there, playing against the Spurs is never easy because of Pop, and when you blow them out, there'll be a lot of things that we'll remember about that. I'm not optimistic about this, particularly tonight, but I know you're an optimistic guy. So what are you thinking? Is this going to be? Is this going to be? I can't. Well, I'm not going. It's not going to be easy. But what are your thoughts on this?
So first things first, I had a look at who's available and who's not. Quite a few people questionable for this game. Duncan Robinson should be fine, so that's a positive there. All things being equal, so don't know how the Heat are going to come out. I don't know if they're going to come out blazing hot on offense or sluggish on defense, but all things being equal, I think we should be able to pull out a win. Might be a very tight margin. I like the way the matchups are built on this team, and one person that keeps impressing me is Dwayne Dedmon, and I can't remember the impact he had on that last game. I'm not sure if he played, but I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to watching him play again today, and once again, I find myself saying it's a bounce back game. We want to see how the team reacts, and. Yeah. To be honest, I'm sick of saying that, but it's just Heat culture. We can't expect to just take it game after game on the back, or back-to-back 2 consecutive games. But.
Yeah, John, that was going to be my next thing. A bounce-back game is what I thought. I thought, again, when we do lose, we tend to react well, but as Sam just said there, we keep saying it. And I think that a lot of this probably rides on tonight about the availability of players. I think if Hero is back, none is back, I think we stand a good chance. Even if one of them is back, we stand a good chance. If they're not, I don't see this even being close tonight. What are your thoughts?
It was a good thing that since the break, the Spurs have been bottom 10 in defense. So maybe another good game from Jimmy and a good game from Bam, and if Duncan is available, maybe he will go off, and one of the guards that would be available.
I want to see. So you're saying is Tyler Hero questionable? Did you say
Hero and Nunn are both as they were last night? Last time out, which is not ruled out but questionable. Yeah. So we expect a game time decision.
I want to see Tyler Hero fix whatever he needs to fix and get it sorted sharpish for the playoffs, because like I said, this team runs on a motor of this team wins together, and that was the key to the success last year. So I want to see Tyler sort of buck up a little bit and get back to what he was, because although his stats obviously show that he's had those incremental improvements, he has declined as a player. He has not gotten better. So yeah, I really hope he plays tonight, and I hope he brings it straight away. I guess you go on to predictions now. I guess.
No, I think that's a fair thing to say. I was thinking about that this morning with Tyler Hero if he plays, because he has had, you sum that up well. He's had these increments of improvements to his game, things that he's done well during that he's addressed during the off season to make himself a more rounded player. But what he came into this team as is a sniper. He was known as a shooter, and his shot has been awful this year. He's been way down, so he does need to sort things out. I hope that he's got another level to get to, because boy, do we need him. So yeah, okay.
I don't
First
know how
of all,
true this is. I just wanted to point. I don't know how true this is, but I heard that Tyler Hero and Devin Booker are shooting the same percentage from free. I don't know how true it is, but when I saw that, I was quite surprised.
I heard that as well. Thing is that Devin Booker's got a lot more rounded in his game, that he can take over games, which is something that Tyler Hero only wishes he could do at the moment. So yeah, I don't pay too much attention to that, but it did raise my eyebrows. Yeah, I read the same thing. Before we come on to predictions, a little bit of news on Oladipo that we've heard is that it's not that he can't play at the moment. He's fit to play. It's just that it's a pain tolerance thing and a risk thing. So with that in mind, the Heat have got this sort of thing about playing through the pain barrier. I think that was a lot of the question marks over Justice Winslow, for example, with you can play, it's just you're not prepared to play type thing. Now that's a slightly different scenario with Vic. I think Vic probably does want to play, but this is a payday year for him, and he doesn't want to blow it. He doesn't want to risk this chance to get the bag. So, but with that said,
well, he wants to play for Miami, so
we need him. This team needs him. So if he can come back, because we don't, let's have it right. He was looking good. He was finding his rhythm. He'll want that back for the playoffs. So what do we think here? Quickly going round before predictions, John. Do we just say forget it, wait to the playoffs, and sort of ease your way back in, or do you think that he's got to have a handful of games at least here before to get some rhythm back, or is that too risky? Well, I mean, it's difficult because it is a stab in the dark. But what would you do?
Well, if I was like Depot, you have to wait, because you don't want to be a boogie situation where you could get the money, but you're going to injure yourself and then get a minimum. But then if you don't play, you will still get a lower deal than you want to because you're not playing. I saw a tweet by 5 Reasons that he maybe should come off the bench, and I agree with that. Just give him some reps,
100%.
give him maybe 15, 20 minutes, low risk, and be ready for the playoffs instead.
Yeah, 100%. I think that probably would have to be the way, especially if Kendrick Nunn's still balling, which he has been recently. I think that you would just ease his way back in. There's no need for him to start. He doesn't have to start games in the end of the regular season. So, it's interesting. Very, very quickly again, little nugget that we heard on a podcast with Jimmy Butler was on about Kyle Lowry and the fact that his godfather, Kyle Lowry's godfather to Jimmy's daughter. Now that's interesting, because that's sort of like, it's almost like this is meant to be, that there is an understanding. When that trade didn't happen on deadline, I think there was a wink handshake that this is going to happen in the summer. Jimmy stopped short after saying that, of saying, I can't say anymore. There's things I want to say, but I'll get done for tampering. This is going to happen, isn't it, Sam? Surely.
Yeah, that's the one thing that got me really interested at the end of the conversation, because I really wanted to hear what he had to say at that point. Because for him to like sort of stop himself from continuing the conversation, it must be something substantial. So
yeah, exactly.
That's something Heat Twitter can ride on for now.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I'm going to say it now. I think we're going to see Jimmy, Bam, Lowry, and Oladipo all on this team next year. And Duncan Robinson, they'll have to work this out. They'll work this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say before we go, if Vic can play, if it's a pain tolerance issue, and he feels like he can play, then he should play, because we're at that stage now of desperation. So if he can help out, I'd love to see him come back. But it's such a small sample size that he's played so far. He's only got a couple games left. Hopefully we do okay in the playoffs, and he gives us a good playoff run. But it's looking like we're going to have to take him at a discount if he wants to stay here.
100%, and I think he knows that, and I think he'll accept that because he wants to be in Miami. He's from Miami. I think that this is all. Yeah, I don't think he ever even came here, take away the injury, expecting to get the offer even that he turned down in Houston, which was I think $25 million a year. I don't think he was coming expecting that now. I think he just wanted to be part of this team, and I think that he would now with this injury will look to even take a lower number. But we'll see. Look, we don't really know anything, but we do know these increments that it is a pain tolerance issue rather than a sort of ongoing injury concern, which is promising to hear. So let's hope we see Vic earlier before anything later. So let's go round with the usual predictions then, guys. This is tough for me. I'm actually going to think about it whilst I get your predictions here. John, let's start with you.
Bounce back win. Tight one by 6.
Okay, good start. Danny, tight lip smiles. Danny and Sam both with tight lip smiles here. Okay, what you thinking, Danny?
I'm the pessimist. He's the optimist. I'm taking the L on this one by 12.
Oh, a bad loss. Okay, fine. Sam?
Heat win by 1 at the buzzer by mid-range.
Jesus.
There we go. So basically, what was that against? Who was that against that he did that? Anyway,
Brooklyn.
we know where to go. Yeah, against Brooklyn. Yeah, was it Brooklyn? Yeah, it was Brooklyn. Okay, so we're seeing a Brooklyn repeat. So right, so we've got Heat by 6, Spurs by 12, Heat by 1 at the buzzer. It comes down to it comes down to availability. I think I'm going to say that even if they're both back, I think we'll see a good performance. I think that Spurs at the moment are on a bit of a wave. They're going to come in confident. I hate to say it. I'm going to say Spurs by 3. So we're split. We're split 2-2. Let's hope we're wrong. Let's hope me and Danny are wrong. Look, we've got an important run of games. Well, they're all important now, but the next 3 seem really important before we then get to the latter bit, which is Boston, Philly, Bucks and Pistons, because those last few games, apart from maybe the Boston series, they might be ready to sort of be resting by then because their seeds will be locked in. So it might be a time to capitalise. So in the meantime, we've got to stack these wins up. We've got to. So tonight's game, the next couple of games as well, very important win. Let's see how we get on. The stream team aren't sure. We split 2-2. Let's hope we come home with a W. As always, we will be there. 1 o'clock tip for us. Follow us at the Miami Heat UK. For the in-game comms, please subscribe. As always, please tell everybody subscribe to Miami Heat UK TV. We will be back next game, which is a couple of days rest, guys. After today, we're not back till Sunday, so I think that's Sunday night. Sunday night, I believe. So Saturday night is the next game. Hopefully, we'll be there. We'll catch up with you soon, guys. Let's go Heat. Bounce back win.